Hello everyone. Today I'm going to talk about a product within the Informatica data privacy governance portfolio called as data privacy management. Data privacy management provides value for all the key roles within the data privacy function within any organization. For the CISO, DPM provides value by providing intelligence of data that is of sensitive data that is available for data protection. DPM also allows automation of protecting your sensitive data and monitoring the levels of protection. For a privacy officer, data privacy management ensures that you can discover the sensitive data, the personal data that is available within your organization. Uh, DPM allows you to connect to various data sources, discover metadata and data that is private, that contains private information about different people that you are working with, monitor the levels, monitors the privacy status, ensure the data is protected. It also provides intelligence on personal data and identities. I'll talk about it in a moment. From a compliance perspective, with the advent of various privacy regulations, GDPR, CCPA, FINRA, and various privacy related regulations, data privacy management ensures that you continuously assess the risk of exposure that you have for the amount of private data that you actually hold within your organization. DPM also provides a way in which you can actually respond to subject requests. DPM allows you to operationalize your privacy operations by ensuring that you map the identities, you identify subject information, you identify subjects within an organization, map the data about the subjects that you actually hold, and also provides you ways in which you can create reports of subjects as you get subject requests from different stakeholders of your organization. From a CDO perspective, DPM ensures that as you go about doing a digital transformation within your organization, the privacy function is also met with. You ensure that the data that you hold complies to all your privacy regulations. It ensures that the data is integrated with your data governance practice, data security practice, so that you actually ensure that as you grow your business, as you convert your business into a digital enterprise, the data remains private, the data remains secure, and you are compliant with all the regulations within the organization, all the regulations that are available across the world. So let me briefly dive into the different features of data privacy management. Data privacy management is an enterprise-wide data privacy and security intelligence product. The DPM can actually connect to all your DPM can actually connect to all your structured sources, semi-structured sources, and unstructured sources, and discover sensitive data. It can go and scan your different data sources and identify where you have sensitive data and classify the data. When I say discover, it means that it can go in and identify that this in a particular database. For example, it can say that, okay, this column has sensitive data about users. Then it can also say what kind of sensitive data is available about those users. It can go and classify the data and say that, hey, this data is SSN information, this data is credit card information, this data is salary information, say, for example. So DPM will go in, connect to these sources, do a scan, and the scan it can scan across all the tables. It can scan a subsection of tables. It can scan a subset of data. It can scan all the data. All that can be configured as you scan different data stores. It can also go in and scan unstructured sources. For example, if you have SharePoint within your organization, if you are storing all your files in, say, a Windows file share or a Linux file share, it can go in and connect to those Windows file share, identify the files that have sensitive information about your customers, about your employees, about your vendors, and provide you a report that says that this is a sensitive information available. It also provides what is called as a data subject registry. Data subject registry is basically a registry of all the subjects that you, whose information that you hold within your organization. There are different kinds of subjects that you would be dealing with. From within the purview of a privacy regulation, a subject is a physical person who is actually conducting a business with your organization. The subject could be an employee. The subject uh, could be a customer. Subject could be a vendor, and depending on the kind of businesses that you are in, you could have different kinds of subjects. DPM provides a way in which you can actually create this subject registry. DPM provides the way in which you can see how the sensitive data is proliferating across your organization. Data moves as part of your different business processes. Data will move from one system to another as data is processed. And because DPM can identify sensitive data, it can also identify how the sensitive data is moving across your organization. And as it moves across your organization, it will also calculate what is the risk associated to that movement. DPM does user activity on sensitive data. It actually tells you information on the number of users who are accessing sensitive information. It does a risk scoring. I will show you a dashboard in a moment. It will based on about 14 different parameters. It will actually calculate a risk score for your whole overall system, for your IT portfolio, and for individual data stores within your IT portfolio. It can also do anomaly detection on the user activity. If it can identify, it can understand the users behaviors of how much people, when do people access different systems, and based on that, if there are anomalies in access, DPM can identify these anomalies and then flag these anomalies and say that there was an unusual activity happening on a specific data store. It can do policy-based alerting. You can create security policies, and based on the policies, it can do alerting. DPM also does data protection. Informatica has a product called um, persistent data masking, and DPM integrates with persistent data masking to actually do data protection. It can actually do a simulation and say that, okay, if the data is protected, then what is the kind of risk that you will still be exposed to, and it will help you to plan your protection activities based on the simulation that you do. You can generate workflows for actually doing manual protection. You could do protection of data outside of the Informatica portfolio, or you could do protection using persistent data masking, and then you can create automated workflow so that as sensitive data is identified, the sensitive data can be protected. So how do we do? How do we identify sensitive data? Right. So what you do is you'll actually go in and define policies. Policies are what we call as classification policies. Classification policies could be like, for an example, a PII policy, a PHI policy, say a GDPR policy, and then scan these data stores. Policies are basically a grouping of data domains, and data domains are how we classify the data that we identify based on TPM ships with about 150 plus data domains. These data domains are commonly identified sensitive information in different data stores. You as a customer could go in and create your own data domains and group those data domains as classification policies. For example, your PII classification policy could say, you could define a classification policy called PII and say that wherever there is a first name, last name, address, phone number, a national ID, salary information, email information, age. So all this constitute a PII information within my organization, and then you could create a classification policy which has all these data domains, and then you run a scan, right? And once you run a scan, the system will come back and say that these are the different kinds of data domains that was identified that has sensitive information about about um, about different people within the organization, right? And then it can also identify protection status. If for example, if the data is masked, for example, using PDM or for Hadoop sources like Sentry or Ranger, then it can actually tell you that, okay, the data is protected, the data was already protected. And if not protected, you could actually spawn a protection action, which I'll talk about in a moment. You could also ingest protection status from third party. So if you are actually using any third party tools to do the protection, you can import that protection status into DPM. And then we communicate that there's a security dashboard in the product wherein we communicate what are all the top data stores that have sensitive information, what are the top data domains, what are the top departments which have sensitive information. So this is information that is actionable for a security officer or a data privacy officer to take action on. So he knows that now once the scan is run across the different data stores, he now knows that there are like these 15 data stores which have highly sensitive data, and these data stores have these top data domains. For example, if it is credit card, so these data domains, the top data domains that are available are, say, for example, credit card numbers, SSN numbers, or what are the top data domains. And now, which helps a security officer to decide what kind of protection mechanism can he apply for these kinds of data, right? He could, the protection mechanism, as I mentioned earlier, could be masking of data, or it could be something else. It could be providing some other physical measures to ensure that data is not proliferating to other systems in clear text, or controlling access to data. Those are things that you could take downstream based on the information that DPM provides. DPM also detects data movement from one system to another. How does it detect? So we do have the DPM is built on the core Informatica Power Center platform. We could ingest movement of data information from Power Center, or if you are using Microsoft SSIS, we could actually import that information from Microsoft SSIS, which says that data is moving from one system to another. And if you can, we can also ingest from any third-party proliferation tools if it is in a specific format which is documented. So the DPM will take that information in and show you in a graphical manner how the data is moving. As you can see in the picture here, you can see that there is proliferation of data from one end to another. Data is coming from 3 sources, getting into one system, and then again moving to 2 different systems. So you can see this information, right? It provides you a very graphical view of how the data is moving, and it also tells you what kind of data is moving, right? Is it PCI data, PHI data? Is it what departments, data from which departments are moving? So all this kind of information is actually provided to a security officer or a privacy analyst who can now take subsequent actions on this. User activity is another feature within the product where we can ingest user activity information from third party. If you have third party user activity systems, we can actually get in information from, say, an Oracle or a SQL Server focus, or if you are using Informatica's DDM, you can do activity monitoring in using dynamic data masking product, and use that to ingest information into data privacy management, right? And once you do that, then you can get alerts on different events that is happening, right? If there is a spike in user activities at different points in time, you will see those spikes, and you will be able to also communicate to your users, right? From the dashboard, you can see who are all the top users, how the data is moving unprotected, and this will help you to reprioritize your actions, your protection actions, is something that you can reprioritize based on the information that you are ingesting from different systems on user activities that's happening across your different data stores. Based on all this information that we have, we can do DPM does anomaly detection. It actually identifies abnormal user behavior through AI and the information that we are ingesting in from third-party tools, right? It could the action is there's an alert that is provided. The alert could be an email notification to somebody saying that there has been abnormal activities, right? It will also identify who those high-risk users are, what are the top anomalies, and we also get to know what are the top data stores where these anomalies are happening. It will it will help you it will help you decide on what actions can be taken. Again, each one of these, as you're seeing, is basically are security actions that somebody can take based on actionable information that DPM provides. And as you track all these security information, right? The first one we saw where we tracked information about which data stores has your sensitive information, and then we did a classification in terms of what kind of sensitive information is available in these data stores. Then we also went in and said, I can do user behavior analysis. We went in and saw that you can look at the proliferation of data that is moving from across different systems within your organizations, or even if it is moving outside your organization. So once you have all that information, right, you can now do remediation actions, right? You can do data protection actions. You can do masking. You can create automated workflows for masking data that you have identified in data privacy management. In data privacy management, ingest them into our persistent data masking product to actually go and mask data if it is structured sources, right? You can create workflows for third-party encryption. I'll talk about how we integrate with third-party service management tools, wherein you can spawn workflows to third-party tools. You can create tickets to third-party tools so that they can take further actions, because your organization could be using different kinds of protection mechanism. And all that can be enabled using our automated task delegation flow, which I'll talk about in a moment. And based on the information that we have, the product enables you to do risk simulation, right? What does risk simulation mean? Risk simulation is required because as you go ahead and take actions, now that you know that there is all this sensitive data within your organization, right? What kind of protection modeling can you do to ensure that your risk scores come down, right? This is what risk simulation means. And you can do what if analysis and risk simulations within the product, right? You just the product enables you to do that. You just have to select the data stores and the data domains that are associated to these data stores, select the kind of protection mechanisms. Protection mechanism could be masking or third-party protection, and then you can model the impact of the protecting data. Once you say that, okay, I have protected all the data in these 5 data stores, then you can see how does your risk score goes down or goes up depending on the kind of protection you are doing or not doing, right? Then based on that, you can actually associate a cost. The product also allows you to associate a cost to your risk, and based on that, you can do your budget modeling in terms of how your risk cost will go down based on the different kinds of protection that you're applying on the different data stores that you have. And the risk modeling is customized. So you do have tools within the product wherein your whole risk score modeling can be tailor-made to your needs. Different organizations will have different risk levels based on the kind of data that they have. From within the product, there is a risk modeling UI wherein you can go and decide what kind of how do you want to calculate risk within your organization. So there are like various ranges, there are various factors. As I told you, there are like about seven factors that are available with the product, and you could create your own risk factors and then give a weightage to it, and then based on the different values and ranges and the weightage that you provide, the system will calculate the risk cost. And this risk cost will help you decide on what kind of remediation actions that you can take with data privacy management. We also have a action framework, as we call it. The action framework is a customizable action framework that you can add any kind of actions to various workflows, right? So you could create a customized workflow for various actions. For example, if you have to take a protection action, uh, the the product ships with some actions which are like protection using persistent data masking, protection using uh, using a custom script, or it could be something like sending just an email to somebody and say that, okay, hey, this data is not protected. Now it's up to you. There's a different data owner, and you can send that. The system could actually create an automated email to a different data owner. He says he has to take action. We have we have a integration with the ServiceNow, which actually helps you to create a ServiceNow ticket. If you have ServiceNow within your organization, DPM can create an automated ServiceNow ticket. We integrate with ServiceNow using APIs, which can actually go and create a ticket, and then this ticket can be assigned to somebody to take some action, right? And all of these is something that we ship with the product, but you could create your own action framework using custom scripts. This is a UI of how we integrate with ServiceNow, right? It supports various ticket actions, and this is a plugin that we have built for ServiceNow, but our customers can go in and build their own plugins for different service management tickets. For example, if you are using Remedy or a different service management tool, you could very well go and use the same framework to build your own integration using the action framework. The product is integrated, DPM is integrated with dynamic data masking and test data management. Test data management is the product which has a persistent data masking for masking product. And with dynamic data masking, it can actually bring in information from DDM on user access. DDM does database access monitoring, and it can collect data on the access and bring that information into DPM. And with the advent of privacy regulations, DPM provides a way in which you can map identities and create a subject registry. A subject registry is a registry of all the subjects within your system. So DPM can go in based on a few configurations that you create. It can go in and create an index of all the subjects within the various data stores that you have, and then it can start reporting on those subjects. It can you can look for a particular, if you basically get a request for information for a specific employee, the product could go in and actually search. A privacy analyst could go in and search for example, look at myself, so Ramesh Swaminathan, and look at all the data stores that has information about Ramesh Swaminathan, and create a report and provide that report to end users. And this is a feature that is quite popular for the last few months within, Informatica. At Informatica, we are ourselves using this tool for creating a subject registry. And this is something that is a must-have for most organizations today, as there is a proliferation of various privacy requests. I will start now by doing a small demo of how this works. So I'm going in and logging in into the system. And what you can see here is the dashboard that I was talking about. You can see that there is a risk score here. which says my risk score now is 13. It says it provides protection status. It says 98% of my data is not protected, only 2% is protected. It also tells me what the residual risk is. It can give me cost, and it also tells me what are the top data stores which has high risk scores. Right? I have like few data stores like Amazon S3, which has a very high risk score, and there are like 23 fields that is sensitive. While there is a Sales Global cloud product that has like 190 fields which are sensitive, right? So this actually gives me information of what are the top data stores that are highly sensitive. You can also see here that there is a map view, which actually tells you the location of where my sensitive data stores are. So I have like 30 data stores, out of which 18 of my data stores are high risk. These 18 will correspond to the top data store here. And what is the risk associated to it? I have a risk score of 13, and what is the risk associated to that? But to those data stores which are high risk is something that you can see from the UI. And you can go in and look at specific areas, that I can go to North America and say what is available in North America. I can actually drill down and see a drill down view of what are all the various risks within North America. So there are two circles here. I can see one in Austin region and one in the Chicago region. I can, and then it also tells you what are the top departments. Right? For example, I can see that corporate has a score of 52, while administration has 22. So I see that, right? These are the different departments who owns some of these data stores which are having high risk information. And what is the sensitive data proliferation? That I see that CCPA is high for me. Then there is a GDPR policy which is also high. These are some of the policies which have had high status. I can go to a specific, say for example, I can say I go to Salesforce here, or let me check. This one has the longest number of fields, right? So I'm trying to open the Salesforce cloud data system. This is actually going to show me. So now I get into the details, and I can see now that, okay, there is within the Sales Global Cloud, which looks like for me a Salesforce system, there is this object called GDPR order, and it has these domains. It has age, then there is patients, birthday. So it actually gives you details of what are all the different data domains that is associated. It tells me that it has actually 190 sensitive fields. My risk score is 70, but there is no sensitive fields available. From here, I can take different actions. I can import this. I can go in and actually import categories and purpose for this. I can take actions. I can go in, and as I mentioned, I can go in and say, now I protect data. If I click this, it will get you to various options of how I can protect data, right? I don't have any protection, right? So I can actually create a task here, right? This is an automatic task, and I can say that there are 18 data domains available. All this information is pre-populated, and I can actually create a task for this. So I go back to the overview page again. As I'm doing this, I can also do something called subject registry. This is where the privacy pieces tie in. I can see that I have a few subject types which are created in the system. There's a subject type called customer, and there's a subject type called employee. So these are different types of subjects that I have within an organization. And I go and I want to look for a John, and I'm searching here. It tells me that, okay, I have so many details. So there is a John who is working for Informatica, who lives in Seattle, whose age is this, and whose SSN is this. This is a John I was looking for, right? So I'm going and looking. It goes and tells me now that, okay, this guy's name is John Pari, and these are the information about him, and these are the different data stores that have information about John, right? There's SR customer data, and there's something called SR golden set, and this is what information is available about John. I can go back again, and I want to now say I want to search for an employee, and I want to search for a different employee. Say I know that I have a Dwayne in the system. I can do a sort of a search which is not exact search. The system does a fussy search because you might not know the right name of employees at different points in time. So I search for a Gwen and say, hey, I see that there's a Gwen Fairburn in Texas. This is a person that I'm interested in for creating a DSAR report. And her name is Gwen Fairburn. She's a female. She's living in Encino, Texas. And this is interesting. I see that there's something called a legal hold here that effectively tells me that Gwen Fairburn is under legal hold. There's some litigation which is happening around Gwen Fairburn, and my legal has told me that that I cannot take any action. I cannot do any changes to the data of Gwen Fairburn because the data is under legal hold. Right. As a privacy analyst, I can go and actually clear the legal hold if I want and add legal hold. But now what I want to do at this point is I want to actually go and create a DSAR report. I want to know what information of Gwen Fairburn I want. I know at this point that Gwen Faburn's data is available in all these data sources. I have these 5 Oracle data stores which have information of Gwen Fairburn. And if I click on that, I can see what are all the data domains. I know that Oracle HDFC Bank HR has email address, full name, marital status, mobile number, person, date of birth. These are the different information that I have about Gwen. And I also know that this particular data is actually shared with third party. What I mean by shared with third party is this data has proliferated, has been sent to somebody outside the organization for processing. So it says HR. So that means that there's a possibility that for HR related purposes, this particular data was actually shared with some third party provider. I'm just going here and say preparing a DSAR report. Now I get a warning which says a subject is under legal hold. Are you sure you want to take action? I said, yeah, yes, I'm sort of sure that I do want to create this. And then there's a task which is created, the task is running. And as the task is running, it should take a couple of minutes for the task to run. Let's let the task run. And once the task is complete, you can go here and see the status of the task. I can see that the task is completed. The other thing that you will see here is all the historical requests of Gwen is also available here. Certain regulations like GDPR, CCPA says that you don't have to process more than 2 requests for information in a year for a given subject. So from a privacy analyst perspective, this actually gives them information that, hey, there are so many requests of Gwen that I have received. Now I have a legal stand to go and say that, hey, I cannot process your information because you have processed your request like 6 times already over these different dates, right? I can do that, but right now I want to go and I've already processed the information, and now I can go and download a report. Now there are various reports that I can download. It can be a detailed report with CSV. It can just be a summary report where there's only limited data. I can go and do a summary PDF, or I can do a summary PDF without personal data. You could have within an organization various processes. You might some say that, okay, I just have to give information of what kind of data I have about a subject, but not really the actual data. So that way I can do a summary PDF and not an actual PDF. So right now I'm just downloading a summary PDF here. And I'm just opening this, and you will see that a data subject access report is created, which has data, different kinds of data that I have about Gwen. That's all I wanted to show you today. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for joining us today. If you have any more questions, please feel free to write to me, and I'm available to help answer some of these questions. Thank you.